Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Today I want to talk to you briefly about one of my favorite classes, the fighter, and what am I going to be doing with him in 2015. Shouldn't take very long because the class is, of course, very straightforward. At this point in my life, I really have two guiding principles as far as D&D is concerned. The first one is I want the game to be simple. I want a lack of complexity. That should come as no surprise to anybody that's watched my videos in the past. The second one is I want an increased rate of improvement at this point because I just don't have a lot of time, nor I'm guessing the people that play with me have, they're not going to have a lot of time either. So I'd like them to experience, some more goodies a little bit faster than you normally think of. So for the fighter, I want him to start at a +1 attack bonus and increase by 1 every single level, which is kind of like what they do in first edition and something like Pathfinder. It's a little bit different, than something you would expect from like a game that's just like OD&D or basic, and so that's kind of what I'm going for. As far as armor class goes, I really I like what Basic Fantasy role-playing game has done, and what they did essentially is they took the old armor class, descending armor class, where the worst armor class was 9, and they flipped it on its head, and now the worst armor class is 11, and it goes up from there. Now a lot of other games have made the worst armor class 10, and using an ascending AC, and that makes sense because to hit an armor class 9 in Basic and OD&D you need to roll a 10. For whatever reason, psychologically, I like the two numbers to add up to 20. So I like the Basic Fantasy role-playing game motif. However, I'll depart from that a little bit because they start everybody at +1 attack bonus. I'm just going to start the fighter that way, and have the other classes have to kind of catch up a little bit. I like them behind the fighter because the fighting is the fighter's shtick. So why shouldn't he be the best at it? It might make it a little bit harder for other classes to hit the bad guys, but also remember it makes it harder for the bad guys to hit you, and that's really good when you're a low-level character. I'm going to use as far as multiple attacks, I'm going to acquiesce to the Pathfinder D20 type thing where, at 6th level the fighter gets another attack, but it's at +1 instead of +6. I'm not going to use that old, 2 attacks every 3 rounds kind of wonky stuff that first edition had that I was using in the past. It's too crazy. And, I think D20 had a good thing going with that. As far as things like weapons proficiency, if people want to specialize in a weapon, yeah, we'll talk about that. I don't want to have any kind of pluses to hit or damage, but maybe if you're really hot and bothered to be good at a bow, maybe we'll talk about you being able to make shots on the run or something without a penalty, that sort of thing. Maybe in the weapon you're good at, maybe you can threat to a critical, so to speak, on a 19 or 20. I still like the idea of critical hits. You roll 20, you get to roll, hit the armor class again. Yeah, you do double damage. I kind of stole that. So maybe if you're specialized in a weapon, you get to do that. Whatever. Finally, last but not least, I've talked about this way in the past that, I'm not so big into feats where you customize a fighter one way or the other, but, maybe at a certain level, like, everybody, all fighters ought to be able to do something where, they hit somebody, they have like a cleave. So if you manage to kill one person, you still have hit points left, you can apply it to another opponent or something like that, And I'll hit, kind of cross those bridges when I get there. But that's it. The fighter's a neat class. I just like to increase his rate of advancement, as much as I can, because keep other people a little bit behind when it comes to combat ability, because the fighter's the fighter, and he should be really good at hitting stuff.